Hi there. Sorry, just getting it unmuted. Hi, everyone, and thanks, Bora. Thanks for the introduction. Always excited to hop in and join on the VCA residency classes. It's great to see everyone and get an idea of what you guys are up to this cohort. Always exciting stuff. I've heard there's some really exciting projects you've been working on, and also some of the students I think I've heard of, and also collected some of your works. So yeah, looking forward to get to know everyone a little bit more. The way typically we do this is, or I guess it works out best, is I usually kind of start off and just go over some like collection techniques and talk about pricing strategy. I've heard that that's an interest that a lot of you have. So we'll probably start off with that, and then I'd say at the end we'll open it up for some Q&A, because I'm sure there'll be some interesting questions that people might have. So this class we're going to be going over setting up basically your collection or your first artworks for sale, and we're going to focus mostly on the Tezos platform. So I'd say mostly object, and we can touch a little on FX hash, because I heard some people were interested in that as well. But I think the main topic is pricing strategy, as it says. And I think I'll also start off with a little bit like I heard some people have been selling on Ethereum, but they haven't done it on Tezos yet. So there's a couple like basics we'll go over in terms of like getting your Tez domain and setting that up, and getting like a profile set up on object.com, which I think even if you're want to focus on FX hash, I'd still think it's important to have an object.com account set up, just because that's like the main marketplace for Tezos. There's also TIA as well, but I'm going to focus mostly on object. That's tia.art. It's TIAE, I believe. I don't have it in front of me right now, but let me look it up for a second. One second. Also, quick question. Would you guys like to have any of these links sent in the chat? Or maybe that helps out? I'm not sure. So it's tia.art. That's TEIA.art. And that's also, I'd say, one of the top Tezos marketplaces. So you have Object, and then you have Tia. I'll share that as well. I'm going to share my screen and we'll kind of go over all this together. I think it's more helpful, I found in the past, to just kind of go through it online and do a screen share than to like have a deck, or like a PowerPoint presentation. I think people kind of then get to see it. And also, please speak up and let me know if you have like a question or something. Like I don't mind if you interrupt me, as long as it's something that you think will either help you out or help the rest of the students. So no problem there. All right, so yeah, let's just get into it then, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. So can everyone see it now? Screen's working. Yes. I guess that's, I see some fire, thumbs up, 100%. All right, we're on. All right. Okay, so Tezos marketplaces. Let's start there. So here's Tia. They are I would say, emulating the original Hickland, which some of you might have heard of, which was the first Tezos marketplace that started, I think it was March 2021. And that was actually one of my that was my first dive into NFTs, was the launch of the Hickland marketplace. And it has since is no longer around and has been followed by Tia and Object, I'd say, are the two main ones. And then we also have FX hash here, which you can see. So given that those are the three main marketplaces, I want to just touch on, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the domains, like your .eth addresses, .tez addresses, .bitcoin, all the unstoppable domains, all these types of things. So getting started on the Tezos platform, I think it's really helpful to choose a Tezos domain that you feel represents you as an artist or creator. So, I mean, it's completely up to you. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you already have your names figured out. But I think it's always nice to get like a corresponding address that goes with that. So if you go to the Tezos.domains, and let me drop this in the Discord briefly. What's a good place to throw this? Just in the chat, Bora? Is it, what works best for you guys all?
I think the chat would be best. The chat which is on the right side.
Right here? Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So there's the Tezos domain. So you can check out where all of them. So yeah, this is just like any other, Web3 marketplace or anything. You just, you can get started. You're going to want to connect your wallet, and you see the wallet connect up here, but we can search. So, let's see, like if they have like Tezos. We can do a little search, and seems someone already owns the Tezos.tez. So let's try, I don't know, let's see, BCA Tezos. Let's see, maybe that's available. So search that, and that's still available. All you have to do is you click register. We're going to connect your wallet, which we can do quickly here if it's going to work. I guess not. And then you just have the option to buy it. This is available for 1 Tezos per year, and I think you can register them for up to 5 years, and then you have the opportunity to renew it. So I think that's probably a good place to start. Then this goes into the redirection. So you can select the address it points to if you decide to have it point to a different wallet address other than the one you purchased it with. I'm 99.9% sure that when you buy it in one wallet, it automatically sets it up to point to that wallet. I can go in a little deeper on this later, but I think that's kind of a brief overview. So the beauty about that is when you go into your profile, you're going to see that if you had the account assigned, it would show up here. So, for example, if you go into Manu Williams, she's an artist based out of New York, I believe. I think she's there now. She has the Manu Williams, which is her name, .tez address, and then it shows up right here underneath her profile name as well. So just a nice little thing to kind of like, I think when you're trying to start off, collectors start to realize that, you spent a little more time developing your profile, and like you're understand the ecosystem a little better. So these are the kinds of things I think that helps just validate that you have things set up and that, you're practicing the proper types of etiquette that people might take your artwork and your program and just your actual collection might help to sell more pieces. So also I'd say definitely recommend filling out profile, just kind of giving a description. And you then can have the opportunity to add your socials and a website. So you're just going to have to go under here, you go under your profile, and then you can edit your profile like you see here. So I'm not going to, this will take you to the Tezos profile page, which is where you can upload all these. So I'm going to add that as well. Let's do that real quick. So there you have the TZ profiles that you can go to. All right, so we got the domains, we got the profile. So let's say that your object account is set up now. So like, let's kind of get into the details about it and talk about like pricing strategies and things of this nature. So first off, we're here. This is FX hash object. Yeah, where were we? Going back. So here's the main page, and let's talk about like price strategy. I'll bring back Manu because I think she's a wonderful artist, and she has some unique features we can see about her pricing strategy. So she's, I believe, working primarily in AI GAN, and she has a few different collections here of different types of artwork that she does. You can see there's some more of these detailed biosignature is what she calls this. This is like her plant life from another galaxy or another world, which is, I think, absolutely beautiful work. But the beauty is that you can see, biosignature is a collection that she has created under her account. So under her collections, you'll see that all of the different ones exist here. So hers transitional, which seems to be figures, the echoes of Medusa, which seem to be like these sea creatures that she's doing. Also, beautiful Gann work. And then this new one, I think she just started this made up of different threads, which are more of these profiles of individuals. Very unique. I must add, there was one project that just caught a lot of our attention. It was really great. It was the Muses, and I think this was someone that's in this class that was doing that. So very cool project. Muses were great. But anyways, going back to this, I'm going to start from the beginning, because I think when we start off, there's a lot of questions of how do you get started, how do you set it up, pricing strategy, collection number, mint prices for minting, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see these are some of her very first NFTs that she minted. This is the first dozen. Let's see, August 2nd, 2022. So a little bit, approximately over a year, almost a year ago, not quite. But there's this was 10 editions originally. If we click here, the history, we can start to understand what they originally were. So she originally minted 10 pieces and listed them for sale for 2. And then it seems that those 10 sold out, and then some secondary sales started to flood in. So they have that here for the information. But I think the question is how to price them in terms of collection size, so that we're not really like competing with ourselves, let's say. And also, I think having a proper pricing strategy that's reflective of the collection size is quite important. Sorry, I shouldn't say collection size, I mean edition size. So as you see, this piece here, Erratic Thoughts, there's 10 editions in this piece. So there's 10 of those. Whereas when we go to Beta Waves, there's only 1 edition. So that's a 1 of 1. So naturally, the 1 of 1 is going to be a more valuable piece because there's only 1 of them. Whereas there's 10 editions to the Erratic Thoughts. So one thing to consider on the pricing strategy is we need to take that into consideration. It would be kind of, I would say, underpricing your work or hurting the 1 of 1 if the 10 edition piece and the 1 edition piece had the same price when you minted them. So let's go here and check this out, because I think Manu kind of adjusted some of these things as she went. So you can see originally she minted 5 of them and listed them for 25, sold 1 for 25, and then later on burnt the remaining 4 that were unsold, which then made this a 1 of 1 edition, which is something unique, I think, because the thing is that a lot of the times if artists have a piece of, they're getting started and they want to keep minting more and more, a lot of times I think that they want to offer the opportunity for, newer collectors to get their work. And as they continue to mint and grow their collections, a lot of the times they'll burn the older pieces that weren't collected. So let's say, for example, this Beta Waves was originally a 5 edition piece. She only sold 1 after a few months and then said, you know what, I'm going to mint a few more pieces. I want to make sure that a lot of my older works are kind of maybe not available anymore. So it shows that her work has been selling out, and then it gives a better opportunity for her to sell the newer pieces. And also it then can start to give more value to the secondary sales. So a lot of the times we'll see artists that will start off by having very low price point entries, sometimes half a TES for an edition piece. I've even seen people sell 1 of 1s for like 1 or 2 TES during the beginning of their career on Tezos. And this kind of like is sometimes I think not a bad idea. I wouldn't say it's undervaluing the work. I think that it's giving opportunity for their work to sell out and reach collectors. Personally, for me, When it comes to collecting, I find a lot of interest in looking for artists that I feel are new, up and coming. And a lot of the times the artwork won't be that expensive, but I feel that when I look and see, okay, hey, they're brand new, they just started minting. I like their work. Why not pick up a few pieces? It's more enticing sometimes, I think, to really, I don't know, collect those pieces, then find out and say, oh, whoa, they're asking like 100 tezos for their first piece. Never heard of them. Maybe less enticing. But given the fact that, like, I'd say like their first collection maybe is priced rather low, typically we'll see that sell out rather rapidly. And then the next iteration that they do, the next 10 pieces, they'll probably price it, 50% higher than the last one. And they kind of continue to build up that price ramp as long as they keep selling out. And I think that's something that's really, I've seen a lot of artists do this, and it seems to be a really good technique, because ultimately, I think when you're starting off, one of the most important things is to kind of get your work out there, hope to see if you can catch the attention of some larger collectors. And I think those are some key components that really help out in the end. And I mean, you see it often. There's people that, start off, they have incredible work, but maybe it's not reaching, the market's not the best. And they're just kind of sitting there at like higher price points for months and months, maybe years on end. And it can kind of be a little daunting. I think that's just kind of getting the work out there, and having it sell and get into other people's wallets. It's helpful when the work is sold at a lower price point for that. But these are just options. This is not a code of conduct or the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it. These are just some options that I've seen artists take in the past, and some seem to work quite well. So yeah, let's talk about the pricing structure in terms of the editions. So I think a good way to think of it all is think of how much you would sell a one of one of your work. So let's say on Tezos, you're just getting started and you're opening your account and you're like, you know what, the least that I'm willing to sell one of my one of ones for my first round is 25 Tezos. So working back from that number, I would say you can kind of come up with the price that you'd want to associate the editions. So think of it as this: one piece of artwork is valued for 25 Tezos for you. So if you're going to do an edition of that artwork for 10, or any edition work, I would price it backwards from that. So if you're happy with 25 euros for one piece, a one of one would be 25. I'd say an edition of 10 would then probably be 2.5 Tezos, and then kind of just working on that scale. So whatever pricing strategy you have, I try to always make sure that the larger edition pieces are much less to mint than your one of ones. This is a common mistake that I think happens many, many times, and this is something that I think it sometimes doesn't help the artist in the end, because collectors look at it and they're like, well, why am I going to buy an edition piece that's the same price as a single edition piece? Because like I said earlier, the one of one is unique. There isn't any other pieces of that piece in the collection, so it will always have a higher value. So any additions that are associated, lower the edition count, a higher value will always have. So just something to kind of keep in mind. I'm going to take a moment here and ask you if there's any questions about that, because I think we just dug in a lot for that one right there. So I don't know, I'm looking at the chat now. If any of you guys have any questions, feel free to type away. All right. So it seems everyone's got that. I guess it was clear. All right. So here you can see, let's look at a few more of Mana's works here, just to go through it, because I think there's, like I said, there was a few situations where I think okay, here's a great example. So here we see she originally minted 20 editions. She listed them for 6 Tezos each. Then she relisted them for 4 Tezos, and then she burned 15. So basically what was going on is she was having some pricing adjustments, because I think this was right when she started minting, and she was looking at some of her works. And was like, oh, you know, I kind of priced these either a little too high or too low to kind of like fall in line with all of my other edition pieces that I have. So she kind of went back and did some price adjustment and burnt some, and you know, put the price at where she thought they would be good. There's one other artist that has another technique that I think is really cool. And basically what they do is, one moment, I'm going to check my other computer here to get their wallet address, because I think it's cool just to share the work. One moment. Salem is his name. Their name. All right, so this artist has a fun thing that they do. And if you look, every time they mint, they usually mint about 10 or 15 pieces. So like, let's check this one out here. Let's go here for this one. So there's 7 editions here. It looks like they're all sold out. You can check here under the owners. So yep, these were all sold out. And then you can see, all right, so look here. They originally minted 15 pieces, and they were selling them for 15 pieces at 12 Tezos each, all right? I believe they say they do it for a week. Sometimes the times change, but they say after a week goes by, any unsold pieces they burn. So for example, this collection, there was 8 unsold pieces, and they burnt those 8 pieces, and that was the close of the collection. So anyone who hadn't collected at that point doesn't have any, and then the collection size reflects that, which I think is kind of a cool technique, because it's like, hey guys, you know, we're going to offer these pieces for sale at this price. Anything that doesn't sell, we burn. So that kind of makes the size of the collection varies from piece to piece. So look at here, this piece, you can see there's 4 editions. And of course, yep, once again, the same tactic was used. 15 pieces were minted, same price, 12. It looks like a bit later, they burnt 11 and then sold them afterwards. So this means that the people who already collected them then started selling them higher on secondary. And it seems like, yeah, let's look. Yeah, so there's 3 people who bought that. They already have the price for secondary, which I think helps out as well, because then, you know, you see that there's an interest in the work, and the artist is also kind of like offering a deal for the people that wish to collect their work within the first week. So yeah, this one there's 4. So it looks like there was a new piece that was just minted here. What was this? Actually yesterday. So yeah, they minted 10 pieces at 2.5 Tezos. So I'm sure that they're going to probably burn these in a week, the ones that are unsold. But the help with this, I think, is that, you know, like I said, it makes the collections close. You know, it doesn't leave things on the open market for a long time, and then it starts to simulate the secondary market, which will also, I think, tends to grow interest. And, you know, people who missed out, like, oh, you know, I wish I could have collected one of those. You know, then they'll offer like an offer that's maybe 2 to 3 times more than the initial mint price. And sometimes maybe someone who collected one of those pieces originally will say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to sell for that price. And then they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe someone's like, I really want that piece. I'm really bummed I didn't get it, and offer some crazy offer like 100 or 50 Tezos. And, you know, someone's like, well, all right, I'm willing to let it go for that. And, you know, it helps. Maybe at that point, actually, the artist might make more money on the secondary sale of the artwork than the initial primary, which is unique, I think, to what's going on within our ecosystem, that, you know, you can start it off, you know, selling your pieces quite low. And, you know, if your work is getting a lot of traction within the community and you have some great collectors, you know, who knows, maybe that piece that's sold for 1 Tezos starts selling for thousands, you know, maybe a year later, then you're clearly making more money on the secondary sale than you ever did on the primary sale. So I'll give you an extreme example of that. But I think it's good to mention these things, is this does happen. And I think some of the really great artists, it's not surprising when these things do happen. So This is an incredibly famous artist, definitely one of the top artists in the space, and I would say in the not just Tezos ecosystem, but the whole entire digital art space. So this was a collection that they released pretty much right when Tezos or when Hikvinnuk launched. And here we can look in the history and see that they minted this piece and listed it for 16 Tezos. And just a few months ago, it sold on secondary for 2,048 Tezos. So this is a sign that, this artist was offering work that was, maybe they weren't as famous as they were now, but ultimately, if we look at the royalties as 20%, 20% of 2,000 Tezos is a lot more than the initial 16 Tezos that they sold it for. So it's sometimes more important to kind of get things going, to consider the down the line, there might be more money made in the secondary sale royalties than on the primaries. So I wouldn't be discouraged to start off selling work at a lower price point just to kind of get things going. I mean, I don't know if you know Casey Rios, this is his project. He's a very famous artist and basically was the one who wrote, or he is the creator of processing.org. So, I mean, for him to be offering his work at 16 Tezos was kind of an incredible moment. So yeah, that's an extreme example there. But it does happen. What else can we go down? Any other questions? Anyone have any interest? Anything I missed? Anything you'd like me to kind of dive in a little bit on?
Ryan, how long might you maintain an artwork at a particular price before you should decide to change it? What would be an adequate amount of time to let an artwork sit at a particular price if it goes unsold?
It's up to you. I think I would say from my experience, I think I'd say proper etiquette is to usually lower prices instead of raise prices. I think if your artwork is if you listed it for a certain price and like let's say you're getting a bit more traction, your works are selling for more. If it hasn't sold and then you raise the price on it, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's better to maybe either keep the price or delist it. I'd kind of stray away from raising the prices. That's one option. That's one answer to your question. The other answer would be if you want to lower the price. Let's say that you feel like you want to sell it. Personally, I think that lowering the prices is something I wouldn't recommend so much. I mean, it's like you don't want to devalue your work in that respect. I mean, if it's something like you're reworking your pricing strategy and it's something that might have been messed up from the beginning, and you're like, okay, I need to go back and reprice my pieces. I don't want to mint them. That's something else. But I think if it's like it's sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't want to, it hasn't sold. I think sometimes delist it maybe, or consider burning it as well, because that's then offering the collectors of that piece. Sorry, let me step back a second. When I say burn it, I mean burn it in the respect that you have an edition piece. Let's say it was an edition piece that you minted 10 editions and you sold 6 of them, but there's 4 editions that have been sitting there for a while that never sold at 4 Tezos or 2 Tezos. Maybe that's the option to burn. That's what I meant when I said to burn it. I would not say to go back and burn a piece that has not sold at all. I would leave that out there. Hopefully someone buys it, but I wouldn't burn. I'm kind of against burning work that's been minted. Now, burning an edition of a work, I think that's something that could be. I think that's acceptable. I feel like it's like there's a lot of people put a lot of energy and a lot of passion in their work, and I think that when you're burning it because it didn't sell, it's kind of I don't know. Just I think that it will sell sooner or later, and you'll find someone that really connects with it. I want to be really, really firm that when I'm speaking about burning, I'm referring to edition pieces right now. I see that Hidden Forces is right there. Something more. Hold on for a second. This is a very, I think, particular topic too. I think there's a lot of people, have I would say it's a very intimate topic, I believe, as a creator, and it's something that you really have to take into consideration of how you feel about your work and how you feel about minting, all these different types of things, because I think it's something that you don't want to. There's no, like I said, there's no standard. These are just practices that have been used before, and I think it's the things that some people gravitate towards. The blockchain records release date. There's something that's a value of early adopters, artists like us. Yeah, so I think to kind of piggyback on what you're saying there, Hidden Forces, you're saying like, it's if you're offering your work at a low price point at the beginning of your career on Object, it shows something. It shows that you're growing, and if I understand correctly, that's kind of what you're alluding to with that message there. So once again, I don't think that pricing new works that when you first start off at a low price point is really a bad thing. Danielle says, what's your take on doing auctions on objects? I feel like they can be tricky unless your work already sells for high prices. Also, as a collector, I often forget to come back to auctions to bid checkout price. I ditto you on that one in terms of forgetting. I think auctions, yes. In my personal opinion, auctions, I think is something probably that goes for artists that are, well vetted in the space, have been around for a while. People will tend to like follow it or put it in their calendar or something like that. But yeah, it is tricky. And then, it's like, I don't know if it's really helps out in the end. I mean, it's like I said, everything is valid. There's no right or wrong. But yeah, I think that I've never been a huge fan of auctions. I feel that sometimes also like you'll see really good work go in an auction for a price that's probably not a little lower than it should have gone for typically. I mean, of course, like when a high profile artist has an auction, everyone's going to be there for sure. But I think like getting started, I think auctions maybe save for later. But again, there's no rules to it. If you feel like it, I might say this though. I think there's a lot of unique, let's call them like minting techniques that other people have been doing. And I'm going to touch on one right now, which was done by a particular artist going by the name ClownVamp. And I think these are like kind of, I hate using the word gamified, but it's more of like an experience to mint, like a project. So I'm going to go on segue into this particular project before I jump into or FX hash. So let's talk about this ClownVamp project. It's called Detective Jack. And it's really, I think it's a pretty fun, it's like a storytelling project, like a choose your own adventure. And I'm mentioning this because as far as I'm concerned, I would consider this as a like minting technique or a way of minting something that's unique to you as a creator. So I think this is it. So he's breaking it down into what is called seasons. So this was the first iteration. So if you read this, basically what it is it's like a choose your own adventure. So I want to make sure I'm right on this one, that I have the right one. Yeah, I think so. This was the first. So basically, this was the first in his season. So this piece here, episode 1, season 1, you had to buy this originally. I think it was, let's check it out here. I think it was like 10 or 15 Tezos originally. But this was getting you into, it's been going like crazy on secondary markets. There's been a lot of action on this particular project. Trying to get down to the beginning and see. Let's just do it the quick way. Let's see what they minted for here. Wow, look at all this data already. Jeez. We can see what they were. Offers were accepted. Okay, so it shows here that they were sold originally for 40 Tezos. So these were basically, ClownVamp opened up this project. I think they gave roughly 1 week to place bids. And you see there's 212 editions. So that means they sold 212 of these at 40 Tezos. And after the timeline froze, they said, okay, once you own this in your wallet, every week on Sunday, I'm going to drop 2 NFTs into your wallet, and you have to burn one of them and keep the other. And basically, it was a choose your own adventure. So every week, you got 2 NFTs that were based on the one that you chose. And it was continuing that story based on the ones that you had chosen. And at the end, they reveal which is the winning or which is the one that solved the case for that matter. But it's really cool because, you know, you're following a story and then you're also collecting the artwork that goes along with it. And I think this was something that really took off within the community, and people really were like, oh, this is fun. And I mean, I have to say, I missed the first season, but caught on to the second one. And it was just fun, like kind of a fun project to follow every Sunday. You know, you got the 2 dropped into your wallet. You had to read one and choose to burn the other, but it's also like, it's artwork too. So I have to admit, like, there was a few times when I thought to myself, like, oh, you know, I really love that piece of artwork. I can't burn that one. I got to keep that one, you know? So it was a fun project, and I'm sure they'll be doing another one. But it was interesting because, like I said, you know, you bought this token, and then he froze basically any of the. Well, he didn't freeze the selling, but he said, hey, if you sell this after this date, you're still out of the game. I'm doing a screenshot of the wallets at this date, and then I'll send the rest of them to these wallets every week as long as they continue to play along. But just an idea of a unique way to play with minting. I think they really, really took that one to the limit. I've never seen something like that before. And here is the link to that in case anyone wants to see that. I see Danielle says she always chose the one she liked with the artwork vest. Yeah. It was a fun project. I mean, some of them you're like, you get involved with it. You're like, wow, this sounds so right. But I'm attached to this artwork. But congrats, you got on both seasons. I totally missed the first one. Yeah. Any other questions from you guys? I think I'm going to go for about another 10 minutes and then open it up, and we can, you know, kind of go over any personalized questions anyone might have. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of keep it so we have about 15, 20 minutes after I'm done to go over like individual questions, because I'm sure some of you might have some particular instances that maybe aren't shared with the group, but I really want to make sure we have some time to kind of go over the one-on-one questions that you might have, if you don't mind sharing it through this residence class. All right. Oh, I saw someone just type something in there. So fun for someone to believe you should not drop new work unless old work is sold out. What's your take on this? Okay. Yeah. I mean, this kind of goes on that discussion about the burning the edition pieces, you know. I would agree with the notion that it's good to kind of start to have your work being sold. We do see a lot of times when artists will have, you know, 10 pages of work and only maybe 5 or 6 of them are sold. I suggest that, you know, mint how you feel, you know, what feels right to you. If you want to mint 20 pieces, 10 pieces, 5 pieces, whatever you feel comfortable with, but, you know, kind of start to get like a cadence with it. You know, think about, okay, these are a dozen pieces. I'm going to try to sell these out, see how long it takes. You know, I think that most work is going to sell out if the prices are pretty low. That's why I think that, you know, putting it off on at the beginning is at a lower price point is a really good way to start to get your work out there. And it's kind of like I hate to keep mentioning this method, but I think that it's a really good way to get started. Because like Danielle is mentioning here, it's once that work is all sold out, then you've got another 12 or dozen or 5 or 6 that you can do in the next round. And then the price goes up, and it just continues to go up a little higher and higher every time. I mean, there was one artist that was out of, where was it? They were coming from, I think, Zurich, and they were minting like 10 pieces, 10 editions each, like every week, but they were literally listing them for like 0.1 TES. And they were just flying. Like they were already, you know, people were selling them on secondary for 1 or 2 TES, like within like 24 hours. And all the stuff was selling out. The work was going through everyone's wallets. Everyone was like, hey, this is great artwork. It's, you know, it's really inexpensive. Like try to get some. And, you know, slowly they built it up. And I think now, I haven't checked in, but I think that artist is, you know, they're minting their pieces, you know, maybe 5 to 10 Tesos, depending on how large the edition is. So there's a lot of ways to kind of grow into it. So yeah, I mean, I personally am kind of against burning like a one of one, even if it hasn't sold out. Maybe just delist it for a bit and wait for someone to make an offer. But the edition pieces, I mean, I'm not opposed to burning a few editions that haven't sold out of an edition piece. So I hope that I kind of covered that one there in terms of the sold out question that Deanne posed. Awesome. All right, so let's go talk FX hash. So yes, FX hash. I think we're all kind of familiar with this. It's the generative art platform. Leading, it's the Tezos generative art platform. You see, we have some of those dragons from William Maupon, which is one of the more known artists on FX hash. If we look here on the volume that they have, let's go all time, and you'll see he's probably up there. So the fourth largest selling project on FX hash. So let's talk projects. Who would be an interesting one to go over? I'm going to go check out Andreas Rau, who just released a new project today. Well, a few days ago, but it just went live. So Andreas Rau, you click on there. If you haven't figured out, if you haven't been here before, I'll go back through that. I kind of just sped through. So let's go and explore. You can type in the artist's name or the project name, click the magnifying glass, and then we're brought to all of these projects that exist. So I'm going to click the name. This is his newest project that just released today publicly. But here we can see all of Andreas's projects. He's got his profile filled out, website, Twitter account, and a little bit about him. But let's check out his first project. And here's a really cool feature here on FX hash, which varies quite a bit if you see here. So the very first project he released, which was called Loom, was 480 pieces, and he was selling those for 2 Tezos. Next project was 640 pieces at 8. His third, Elevation, went up to 120. And then they did a collab with Marcello, which was a 250 a mint. And now his new one that just publicly released today, which is 100 pieces that are minting at 750. So, wow, quite a growth in his mint price, I'd have to say. So let's go back in the history books and check it out. So Loom, incredible artist, or incredible project as well, that was influenced by some great artists who are all coming from the Bauhaus. Not all of them, but Bauhaus inspired, especially Annie Albers. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of her. Her and her husband did some great work. But anyways, this was project number 79 on FX hash. So one of the first, I'd say, when they launched back in November. And yeah, he was offering these for 2 Tezos mint price. So let's go check out the marketplace. And here we see that the floor for these currently is going for 788 Tezos. So they've definitely appreciated in the price. And again, I'm showing a very highly sought after project from a very well-respected artist. So this is just kind of like where this project has gone. I would say this is definitely within the community, one of the highly collectible projects there is. But yeah, so you can see here, if we look at Andreas's profile, we'll see that his second release was released on December 5th, so about a month or so later. Look, a little bit larger collection size, but he also raised the price considerably. So if we think about it, just from like the standpoint where we're trying to compare them, he also increased the collection size and increased the price, which kind of reflects that he is now growing into, a more well-respected artist that people are willing to pay a higher price point for. Because if we think about it, his collection size increased, but the price did as well, which kind of goes against what we were saying earlier. But obviously, he's saying, okay, well, I'm becoming a more trying to grow as an artist. I sold out that last collection, so now it's time for me to kind of grow with my price as well. And you can clearly see that that's definitely happening to the point right now where he just released a 100 or 100 pieces at 750 tezos per piece. So let's see how this new one goes that he released. But clearly, this artist was growing into their work. So marketplace is, this piece is a little less because it's not his original project. This is his second one. So the floor has probably not gone up that much. I have to say, I think this is a great project, Concrete. I think all of his works are great. This is wonderful artwork. 240 for a secondary piece here. I think this one, it was originally 250. What are they going for now? 800. So they've definitely appreciated quite a bit. So yeah, this is kind of something to take into thought about how you want to start off as a on FX Hash. So I mean, clearly in about a year and a half, he started off at 2 tezos and is now selling works clearly at 250, and now hopefully everyone mints that out at 750 for him. I mean, I know Andreas is really putting a lot of work and he's doing some great things. I mean, this project, just to touch on it briefly, is one of his first pieces that he's doing a physical that attaches to it. So he has actually the frames are getting frozen, and then he's actually hand knitting a carpet on his loom based on this screenshot that you choose along with him. So really great project. I think this will be something that's pretty special in the end. All right, I'm gonna jump back in Discord. No more questions. We're getting close to the hour, so I think probably a good point to kind of take a break here. And kind of reach out to you all and say, is there any particular questions you might have specifically to your artwork, or a platform that you're eyeing, or pricing strategy that you're thinking about, or anything that just pops into your mind that might be able to kind of respond to or give some advice if you're looking for it. All right, open editions. What are my thoughts on open editions? Okay, so this is a new feature that FX Hash, Object has just implemented. Who did one recently? Who did one? I'm trying to think. Blar did, I think. This artist did one recently. Maybe they still have one going. I think this was, okay. Here was an open edition, if I'm not. Yeah, here we go. This was an open edition that just finished. I think open editions are pretty cool. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of circumvent the mint or burning process for open editions. It also kind of plays along the lines of the one artist I was mentioning earlier that minted 12, gave people a week to mint them, and then burnt the remaining ones. So yeah, I think that the open editions is a really cool feature. So here we see this artist, Clar. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but they do a lot of this calligraphy artwork, which is beautiful, I think. So yeah, they opened this edition. As you see here, they were originally for 3 tezos per edition. And during the time frame that they allotted, which you can have a look here, I think this was about a week, probably March 3rd, March 4th, 5th. Okay, so roughly 3 days, it seems like. This project was a 3-day. And as you can see here, there's clearly, people who missed out on the mint were like, we missed it. We really love this piece. We wanted to get another one. And they're already listed now. Oh, look at this. So we can see here that One sold. No, they haven't sold yet. None. Some. Well, yes, one sold for 10 Tezos already on the secondary market. So someone who'd minted one for 3 Tezos. This person, who is also not just a single, this is a very well-respected artist, must have done some incredible work also on FX Hash. She seemed to really liked it, so she placed an offer for 10, and then someone accepted the offer. So that just goes to show you, after the additions, there tends to be interest. I mean, I think it's a pretty nice piece. I like it as well. So, yeah, to answer that, I think the additions are awesome. I think it's a great opportunity, and it also kind of solves that issue of having to burn. So consider opening the collection for maybe a week or 4 or 5 days or a few days. Have a mint at like whatever you feel is reasonable. If you're getting started, one Tez wouldn't be so bad, and see where it goes. I would say though, it's also the thing about open editions is it's obviously you need to have people who are aware of your work. If you have an open edition and it's like the first time you minted, the chances of people minting it are probably pretty slim unless you've somehow got a bullhorn and then you're able to basically send the whole entire community to your object page and have them check it out. So again, it's something that I think it's going to be more helpful for people or artists who have already had a larger following. But it's not a bad idea to try to give it a shot. I mean, it can't hurt anything to give it a shot. Once it closes, if there's only 2 or 3 pieces that got minted, then they're there. So why not? I have to leave. All right. Well, thanks. Just good to see you guys here. And there's a lot of great Gen artists that are out here that are part of this cohort. It's really, really cool to see you out here. So yeah, thanks for joining, Dis. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any particular scenarios that you're thinking of? Any ideas you might have? Maybe something along the lines of like the Detective Jack, or I don't know, any small questions about, I don't know, maybe the profile, setting up the .tez profile or the Tezos domains.
Brian, I think there are 2 questions in the chat. One from ABCD and Time As.
Oh, I don't see them. Oh, there we go. ABC. Sorry, I missed that one. How best would you advise one-on-one artists to price in case I don't want to enter the market with additions, or would additions be a better entry point? I'd say the one-on-one price. Yeah. Okay. Great question. So this also has a kind of I know that a lot of you have been on ETH, is what Boria told me. I would say there's a kind of bit of connect to that as well. So let's say this. Let's say if your ETH marketplace, you're selling for, say, I don't know, 100 ETH, or sorry, not 100 ETH. If you're selling for like 100 USD, so like let's say roughly like 0.1 ETH or something like that. I think it's not a bad idea to try to follow the same price structure. So what would the equivalent of 100 ETH on Tezos be? Maybe bump it down 20-30% or something like that if you're getting started on Tezos. But definitely, I wouldn't say, if you're selling pieces for 1 ETH, a 1-of-1 for 1 ETH on a foundation, I don't think it would be the greatest idea to go sell 1-of-1 on Tezos for one Tez. That's at that point you're kind of underselling yourself. So keep in mind that look at what price point you've been working at if you have one, and maybe work. If you're getting started off on Tezos, maybe knock off 20-30% or something like that for a 1-of-1. I mean, I think additions isn't a bad idea as long as you're just like, kind of putting it in at the same pricing structure. So let's go back to that one ETH sale price. Say you sell a 1-of-1 at 1,000 Tezos, or sorry, I'm getting it all mixed up, guys. Say you sell 1-of-1 on ETH for 1 ETH, so that's roughly 1,000 Tezos. Now it's like actually 1,700 Tezos right now. So keep in mind of that pricing strategy. So like, let's say that you want 1,700 Tezos for a 1-of-1. Let's mark it down to, say, roughly take 20% off, so around 1,500 Tezos. Let's say you want to do 100 pieces. So what is that? That's going to be 150 Tezos a piece. So then a 100 edition piece would then be what, 15 Tezos each for 100 editions. So at that point, I think that wouldn't be a good pricing strategy to then reach or to fall line with what your normal price rate is. Does that answer your question, A, B, C, D, E? Is that? What else are we looking at? What about ETH marketplaces? Hold on, I'm looking to see if A, B, C, D is replying to this. Great. All right. ETH marketplaces, yes. So there's a lot that's been going on in the ETH world right now. I know that OpenSea has been changing things here and there. They've got a few moments where they've been removing royalties, which I think is something that doesn't rub some of us the right way. I think that's royalties are something that is ingrained into what we're doing here as artists and creatives on blockchain. I think this is one of the most important factors that's built in because this is basically what's kind of separating it from the contemporary art world, which we know right now. You know, when an artist is selling their artwork for say $1,000, that's their primary way of profiting from it. And if the purchaser of their work decides to sell it to somebody else, the original creator doesn't get any secondary sales for that. And I think that's quite a pity. So to see a platform that's kind of allowing this to happen, I feel is a real big disconnect from what we're doing right now. I know that there's other platforms out there, especially like Foundation, that is, of course, allowing for the secondary sales to be processed for the artist, which I think is super important. But I'd say, yeah, focused was on mostly Tezos Day, but I would be happy to jump into an ETH marketplace if you have. I see there's a question is what about ETH marketplaces? Maybe you have more of a specific question that I can target on that. Like what were you curious about? Like what marketplaces or what pricing strategies to use on them? If you give me a more, I don't know, maybe a more succinct question, I can kind of try to help you out with it a little bit. A lot of the ETH marketplaces too, I think, just offer one-of-ones. Object Hecton were one of the first marketplaces to start offering the editions. All right, we got some questions coming. Getting ready for them. By the way, is there any projects that you guys have caught recently that really caught your attention? Anything new, like new artwork or new techniques? I know M-Prompts is something new that's out that everyone's kind of playing with the AI generative projects, which is really cool. I mean, I think, Danielle can really tell us a lot about that. But is there anything that stuck out to you guys? Anything new that caught your attention or stuff that you really found exciting or looking to learn about? Okay, ABCD is talking about the burning of the one-on-ones again. I mean, it's up to you as the creator what you wish to do with your work. Like I mentioned earlier, personally, I mean, from my perspective, if I had minted my artwork, there's a lot of pride and passion that I put behind it. So I would kind of hate to have to burn it. But again, it's up to you. I mean, I think that if it's something you're comfortable with, it's not a bad thing to do. But also consider leaving it up there, maybe delisting it, and someone then maybe feels free to make an offer for you, and you can accept it if you like. But I mean, I wouldn't also say that just because you have 15 unsold works means you can't mint more. I mean, you're completely open to do whatever you wish. I wouldn't. I don't know. Personally, I probably would not burn the one of ones. Just my personal thoughts. I mean, we put so much passion and time into our work. It's sometimes kind of hard for me to let go of it. So one day somebody might find it and be like, oh, that was the one I've been waiting for my whole life. I've been looking for this piece, or it connects to me, and it's something that I really am happy to own. And maybe then you look back and like, oh, thank God I didn't burn that one last year when I had 15 unsold editions. So you never know. All right. Okay. One more here. We got. Yes, I'm asking for one-of-one art, and I'm thinking, for example, of collection is not edition. So price regard. Okay, so question about one-of-ones and what the best platform is for Tezos, or not Tezos. I personally would have to say, I think Foundation has been one of the top tier Tezos platforms out there, Tezos marketplaces. They've always kind of had like a nice, highly curated, clean platform where they're really, I think, putting a lot of effort into promoting the artwork and the artists. That's one that's always stuck out to me. Who else would we say? I mean, I don't know. I'd have to say, for me personally, Foundation is the one that I tend to lean towards.
Ryan, would you be willing to assess the pricing strategy of a specific collection?
Sure. Which collection do you have in mind? All right, the Moons of Darwin. Let's check it out.
Yeah, this is my collection. It's 24 artworks. Each of them a handcrafted object made in the course of a single hour, all 24 made in 24 hours. Now I've got 24 artworks. They're all one of one. Each of them is priced at 50 Tez. I've been able to sell 5 so far. It's a few weeks old now.
Yeah, I mean the market's pretty slow right now. Plus,
it's true.
You do some really cool stuff. I've got a few pieces from you. I remember in the past you mentioned. Oh, what was it?
It might have been the Casimir effect, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
I did start with that very, very low prices, of course, because it's a daily ritual. Yes. And I'm just waiting to reach a benchmark price so that I can begin posting some more interesting works from that series. But that's a long-term kind of daily ritual of making things every day.
Yeah.
I felt obliged to just price them very, very small.
Yeah, but I think this was a great experiment, and I love how you did it, because I know you just did an airdrop possibly maybe about a month or so ago, and I saw that
when I reach a benchmark. If I reach a benchmark of sales, I give everybody a gift. Say thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great, and it brings your collectors back to you again. But I know we're straying again. Going back to this particular collection. So you said you're minting these every time. I mean, for me personally, minting or burning one of these, I don't think I would do it just because it's part of your collection. Each one of these has.
I wouldn't burn them. I am curious about the pricing.
The pricing strategy.
People are willing to pay 50 Tez for them, but I'm not selling it out. And I'm concerned, of course, about my ability to move on to something new if I have this much work kind of sitting around fallow.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I would say this: if you said it's been about a few weeks, right?
At least that, yeah.
I mean, take into consideration right now, the market is probably not at its best at all right now. So it's, I think, something we're seeing. I would say, for example, like QBibi right now, is his leftovers are going for probably, I'd say, 50% to less of what they usually do. And I mean, this was an artist that was getting, he would release a 50 edition piece, and have about 400 offers for only 50
Wow.
pieces. So, I mean, these are artists I'd say are really dominant in the space right now. Everyone's feeling it. It's not something to take personal. I just think it's generally, if you go into FX Hash right now and look at the overall sales volume for the days, like it's
very low.
It's like,
yeah.
It's low right now. If you go in the 24-hour sales, like we're, double digit
on the fourth page, you're down to 1 Tez.
Yeah, I know. This is really low volume right now. So, I would say this: there's, from my perspective, this project that you have here is clearly something you put a lot of effort into, and I even love how you have the one sheet that overlines all of the different times. I would say that if it's something you really want to move, let's say you cut the price in half. Let's say you reprice everything at 25 Tezos. Is the whole collection going to sell out at that price? I don't know.
Well, I punish my collectors, though, who've actually purchased it at the premium price.
Yes.
I lower the prices of other ones.
Exactly. So that's the question: is what is the feeling that goes to those people? Like, oh, well, I paid 50 Tez for it. Now he's selling it for half off. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I wouldn't let it be something that gets you hung up, that says, okay, I can't move forward because of this. I could say that maybe, this, like you see, you did this properly, it looks nice. It's its own collection, and it's still there. I don't think it disables you from starting a new collection or minting new works,
All right, fair enough. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the feedback, Ryan.
No problem. I just have to say, I really like how Christian's always doing stuff that's kind of like, his collections are tied together. And there's a component that adds on to it as well. I think that's something that's really, I don't know. It adds more interest for me, particularly as a collector, into like collecting this piece and knowing why, what's the story behind it, having the pieces like this that actually overarch the entire collection. Like, this is a really cool piece right here, just because it's kind of giving the whole story about the collection, and you're seeing a lot of the pieces wrapped up in one. Yeah, I'm surprised someone hasn't collected this one yet. This is a pretty cool one.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. The works always have a story behind them. They're always coherent, I think, and there's component pieces. I think of them as puzzles, I suppose. Like all the pieces are components of something larger in scale. That's why I regard it as a kind of collection. They're supposed to be coherent, I think, in their relationship to each other.
Nice. The umlaut machine. Gotta love your umlauts. All right. I'm gonna hop back. Let's see. Yeah. Any more questions from anyone? I mean, we've been on here a little over an hour. I think we covered quite a bit. We'll hang out for a moment to see if anyone's got any last questions. And if not, then I think we'll probably wrap it up. Maybe
Daniel's got a question.
Oh, great. Oh, no question. You're welcome. No problem. I'm glad to help. It's been fun hanging out and sharing a little bit here and there with you guys. I hope that some of this information helped you a little bit. I just want to say once again, this is all just, I would say, some practices that we see some creatives doing within the space. None of this is a set in stone. None of this has to be followed. These are all just options to kind of give you some insights on things that have been done. I think that the real creativity comes when you start to think of unique strategies or unique ways of selling or distributing artworks, example for what Christian's doing is really cool. Example for what Clown Vamp was doing is really interesting, I think. So yeah, I mean, I think part of the process of using the technology is really thinking of how we can utilize it to do unique things. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we're still just scratching the surface. I think there's a ton of opportunity to think of new mechanics, new ways to distribute artwork to your collectors, new ways to sell it, and also to enable people to own it, and also, you know, utilize it for something else other than just having on the blockchain. So like, to just reiterate, we saw how Andreas Rau was using the blockchain to now use the code from his digital works to then be fed to a loom to create physical works. So I think these are kind of the processes that it really helps out and really gives us an opportunity to think of how we can utilize these tech to, you know, innovate. So yeah, thanks Boria for having me, and yeah, it was great to share and get to know a few of you that were spoken up, and I hope to see you all soon again.